Hi there, Ansu here from Ivytree Studio. In this video, I want to share with you a fun little project that I decided to design from scratch. So the idea is not for me to give you exact measurements or to give you the exact process. It's basically a starting point that I'm giving you. And the idea is that you can also design anything from scratch if you have a starting point. So my whole idea was to organize a desk caddy or design a desk caddy for myself so that I can be a little bit more organized. With paper crafting and with memory keeping and just being creative and doing creative journaling, you always have a ton of things that's lying around that needs to be organized and cataloged and put away nicely, but also to have it on your desk in a visual way that you can easily access all the different little detailed parts. Now, I love pocket cards, and you probably have seen my previous video where I share with you how I prepared my cards. But I also need a place for them to stay, a home on my desk, and that's what I'm designing here. So all you need is chipboard and some paper. You can use any of our Paper Love printables. I used a normal 12 by 12 inch scrapbook paper that I had lying around that was misprints from when we still did physical product, and so I wanted to use that. But you can use A4 sheets as well, because covering this box is going to be really easy, and you'll see later on in this video. Alright, so first of all, what I started was with a basic block, and I already gave you the sizing there is 80 by 85. That is basically the size of my standard 3 by 4 inch pocket card, and they will fit into that box. So I don't want them to be totally 3 by 4 so that I can see the card, so they need to be a little shorter. And so that sizing is basically your starting point. So 85 millimeters by 80, that's your block, and you need 2 of those blocks for each of the boxes. Now you can decide you want 4 boxes in a row, you want a couple of rows, you can decide to design your box any way you like. So I wanted it to be staggered a little with a larger box at the back that fits 2 pocket card boxes in the middle, and then a narrow little box that is half the size in the front for smaller bits. So it's basically a 3-tier organizer. Your side panels, you need a bottom or a floor that is going to be 85 by 60 millimeters. You can cut 3 of these per box and then just shorten your sides a little bit, but I can give you the measurement. There is 83 in the end. It's just about 2 millimeters shorter, because when you fold those sides in, they have to be the same level as the other 2 larger block sizes. So you want them to not be taller than the rest, and that's why you're going to cut them a little bit shorter. So what I do also is, in the beginning I started by taping down my sides of my box, but you don't need to do that. What in the end is going to happen is you are going to cut paper strips with double-sided tape that you're going to score in the middle, and that's going to be your connecting pieces. So just starting to cover your box is already going to connect your box, but you can also go the other way around depending on what is your preference and what you like to do with your project. You can start by sticking down your double-sided tape. It doesn't really matter in the end. You're going to need tape to stick everything together. So whether you're putting it on the paper or on the chipboard doesn't really matter. I found putting it on the paper a little bit easier, and also getting my box a little bit more finished in the end. So let that be a little tip of how you can go about connecting all of your pieces. So I started out doing it this way, and then I realized, no, I'm going to go a different route. And so in the end, you'll see me using pattern paper pieces and strips that already has the double-sided tape on it. You can plan out this as best as you can, but you will see me probably figuring out as I go along. And the start of this project is where your brain is basically going to guide you in terms of the personalizing of this box or this organizer so that it fits your personal needs. So for me, I wanted it this way. The next box that I design will probably look different. I like to develop things, so that's how I grow in terms of design. And so the first try is a prototype, then I'll probably do it another couple of times, and then until I get bored, then I'll decide to just go a different route altogether and design something else. So I like figuring things out and testing things. That's basically part of my brain profile. So I want you to really see this as a project that you are going to test your brain a little bit, see if it still works, see if it can still figure out things. How not to do something is an excellent way of learning and also guiding your brain in new projects and new design directions. So here what I'm busy doing is I'm planning out to cover these boxes with the pattern paper. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to cut some pieces. Your inner pieces is going to be a little bit smaller than your chipboard, because there's going to be side strips that you're going to use, and that they will fill up the grey of the chipboard, and so you won't be seeing any of the chipboard in the end. So these pieces just need to be just a little bit smaller. So you see me kind of doing this the kind of the testing way, just taking a piece of chipboard and working with the pattern paper and just downsizing it just a little bit. So here is my strips all ready to go. So I prepped them with double-sided tape, and then you cut them as you need them. So you can cut long strips, whether you're using pattern paper that you printed at home on A4 or you're using scrapbook paper, doesn't matter. You just need long strips. You're going to cut them shorter. You're going to be left with odd pieces that you're not going to use, but that's fine. So it's just a quick way, and I found it really, really easy to do this. So in the end, you're going to need a couple of the same size pieces. I started off just covering the sides that's going to show up, the edges, top edges. So when I did the first box, I learned a couple of things, and with the second box it went a little smoother, and by the time that I was doing the third piece and the final piece, I was on a roll. So your brain is learning a new skill as you design something from scratch. So the challenge of this video is not to follow my pattern or follow my process necessarily to the T. It is to gain some ideas and then try to design something that can work for your desk, something that you wanted for a long time and you can't find in the shops, because that's kind of what motivated me. And then get some chipboard, get some pattern paper. You need basically a roll of double-sided tape. I think I haven't even finished my roll, so if it's a nice big roll of broad tape, then it can last you throughout this project, and you can even have some of it left over. So double-sided tape, you don't need any glue. I even adhered the different separate pieces with that same double-sided tape to each other, and it's a very sturdy, strong box, and it's going to last for some time. And then you can just decorate it. I didn't want to do a lot of decoration on it because I wanted it to be very simple. It's already a bold color with kind of a darker tone, so I didn't want it to be too busy on my desk, and so I just ended up adding a little paper butterfly to the front, and I was happy with that. So this is a prototype, so not a lot of extra decorating and jazzing the box up, but I think in the end I really enjoyed the process of figuring out the measurements and the process of covering it with the paper. It can be tricky, so my biggest tip, I think, would be to do the strips like you see me doing here with the double-sided tape. You need to snip off a little bit of the sides. You'll see me do it with the next box as well, just so that the paper gives you can see there I'm doing it, just snipping those corners away a little, so it gives you a little bit more breathing room. I wasn't exact and precise, but it was exact enough for me to finish that box. Most of it you won't be seeing, it will be inside the box, but you just want it to look a little bit finished. And so really enjoyed the process, and I started getting into kind of a routine in where I start and then where I end off with. So I like starting in the inside, in the middle, and then you end off just connecting those pieces, and then you just have to finish off. So as I have some open space still, I put in the inside floor, and then I do the last edge, and then my inside of my box is done, and then I just cover the outside pieces so that it is finished and you don't see any chipboard. And that's the box. So you're going to do that twice, and then you're going to do it for the back piece, which is a longer piece and a little taller, and then you're going to do it for the front piece as well, which is half the depth and also the same length as two boxes together. So your starting point once again is your 3x4 card. So that kind of put the motion, the process into motion. And my first measurements, the most important ones, were to just determine the height of that box, and it was 85 millimeters by 80, and then everything else came from that starting point. So if you wondered how people are able to design something from scratch, this is it. Your tip is a starting point that determines your sizing, and then you size kind of, you design the sizing of the rest from that. And I found the rest really easy. It came really naturally to me to finish it off. And you can make individual boxes like these and have little drawer organizers, use them as organizers in your drawers, make the depth as deep as your drawer is. You can use it for ephemera pieces. So if you have shallow boxes that you design, then you can have little dividers inside and put in your ephemera pieces, individual ephemera pieces in there. Sometimes with the ephemera you have, or your die cuts, you have various sizes. Some are very small, some are medium size, some are large pieces, and you don't have the proper storage for it. Design the storage that you want. If you need flat storage that you can stack, boxes that you can stack, but they are they have little dividers in them that you can organize the pieces and then stack the boxes together on your shelf and then pull them out when you want them. I feel like with paper storage, also the other need is to keep it dust free. So creating something with a lid can also be amazing to keep out the dust, as long as you can access what is inside the box. And I think clear boxes in general would be the best idea for me for any studio space. But in this case, I used what I have, and I have chipboard and I have paper, and this is going to sit on my desk. So for as long as I want it there and I have a purpose for it, I will use this. And when I'm done, I will probably gift it to my dad, who's also a journaler, and pass it on. So it doesn't have to live forever. It doesn't have to go sit in a museum. It's not something that you're necessarily going to become entrepreneurial with and sell it, which I find sometimes people do when they watch videos and they think, oh, I'm going to make this and then sell it. It's the purpose of it is not really that. It is to develop your design skills, and it is to give you something that gives you a little joy in the moment and gets you into your journaling a little more, and take out the frustration of all of those pieces that is lying around that you don't know what to do with. And so this project may be a starting point for you to get organized on your desk space, but then it can also continue into designing something else, designing something that can be stored on a shelf and be labeled. And so let the organizational aspect of your studio not become an expensive hobby in itself, because just storing things in a studio can be a headache and can cause a lot of clutter, and clutter is stress in your brain. And so being organized is something that I always encourage girls to embrace. I know that a lot of creative people, it's like, you know, they fly by the seat of their pants and they don't care about the clutter. But I'm telling you, I am very much an artist, and the clutter causes a lot of stress for me. And the moment that I clean up a little bit and I'm organized a little bit more, then that stress disappears and I'm able to be much more creative than when I step into my studio and I just don't know where everything is that I need, or I feel overwhelmed with everything that I see because it's just out and all over the place. The moment that it's organized and put away, the things that you're done with, you store away. And then when you go sit down at your desk, you can see those projects that you still need to work on, or you can actually start new projects because you're not bogged down by all of the things that's unfinished, which is kind of something that you need to embrace when you are creative. You will always have some unfinished projects laying around. And what I suggest at the beginning of each year is just to go and look at the projects that you know that you're really not going to go back to, and just get rid of those. Just get it out of the studio, pack it up, give it away, sell it if you need to sell it. If it's something that you're not too much bothered about throwing out, then do that. Always be mindful of not filling landfills with things that's not biodegradable. Paper fortunately is, so that's not too bad, but I always try and use my paper up as much as I can. So using things that just lie around for a project like this always gives me joy. It makes me feel like I actually use the things that I store up and that I hoard in my studio. So in the end, this project started really flowing, and so I'm not going to chat up the full of this video. I'm just going to play music for the rest of it and speed it up, and then give you a little sneak preview of what it looks like in the end. So just keep on covering those boxes, follow the process that I'm showing you here, by starting with the inside, covering your side margins or your sides of your box first, and then go into once you've done that, you cover the middle parts, and then you connect your box, and then you fill up the outside with the final pieces. Alright, so I'm going to switch over to the music now and give you just a leisurely watch till the end of this video. Remember to watch all the way so that you can see what the finished product looks like. And you can find links down below to my shop if you're interested in buying some pattern paper to fill up your boxes, and cards and things to play with. And I will see you in the next video.